Hello and welcome to the Indy Pro 2000 Championship live from Long Beach. Season 1 of the 2021 season kicks off with brand new content here at the streets of Long Beach. Should be an exciting one here today. We are here 11 turns at this famous street circuit for the first time here. 3.1 kilometers on just under 2 miles. Track temp is 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 65 degrees the ambient. A beautiful day here in virtual California. A light breeze should give the drivers some trouble down the long straights, but not too much. My name is Jonathan Burke. Alongside me for this race is Arjuna Kankupati. Tom Davis is out this week. Tyler Maxon is the one doing the camera works, and TV cameras provided by iRacing.com. If you were with us last season, we covered just 4 races of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. This season we'll be covering all 12 races from Long Beach all the way to week 12 at Road Atlanta. It's a very exciting schedule. We start here at Long Beach, and then next week for Christmas, we head to New Hampshire, Suzuka on New Year's Day. We have then Barber, Phoenix, Virginia, until we head international with Sebring, Silverstone, and Imola. Then we head back to the U.S. for a one-stop USA Speedway, then out to Belgium for Spa, and finally finishing off at Road Atlanta. A very diverse schedule, several big famous road courses, along with some unique ovals that the Indy cars and the Pro 2000s haven't visited in quite some time. Cars are running on the track for qualifying right now. Currently, Greg Sainz is your lap leader as we get a look right here as they go around the fountain turn. I can bring in my co-commentator, Arjuna Kankupati. And how excited are you to be here at Long Beach for the first of 2 races today? We actually have the IR01 series coming up after this.
Yeah, brand new content, Jonathan, and what a way to kick off a new season. Long Beach, it's finally here for official competition, and ride on board with provisional pole position sitter right now, Greg Sainz. That qualifying time puts him almost half a second clear right now, so someone who's already gotten very accustomed to the streets of Long Beach right now.
Yeah, for any of those who have watched our streams from last season, you know Greg Sainz is a very, very fast qualifier and a very, very fast driver. He often qualifies towards the top end of the field, and on the last race of the season, he did put half a second gap. But currently, that gap may come down a little bit. Some drivers still have yet to go out on track, and he's already accustomed again, like you said, to the streets of Long Beach. And the first time for official competition, but this has been a tech track, Arjuna, so maybe some of these guys have gotten a lot of good practice on it over the years.
They may have, but things have changed very slightly from my own experience. It's been updated very slightly. It's not just on the exterior model, the 3D side of things, where we finally got this city brought to life, but slight details on the track surface as well. We ride on board with Seppa, then through the final corner, and you see here through what is going to be one of the problem spots in today's race, Jonathan. We see it on the race starts, and I have a feeling we'll see it during the race itself as well. Traffic jams during that final hairpin.
It's going to be a bit chaotic as well on the race start, because we do have rolling starts here in the Indy Pro 2000 series, and we're going to be rolling out of that last hairpin down this long straightaway into turn 1. This is going to be the best passing opportunity right here into turn 1. However, because it's a street circuit, it's not very tight. If you make an error, it's your day and your competitor's day could be done.
Yeah, and we sometimes on lap number 1 here, you see pileups through the opening sections of the track, but we had some fun around here last night with Jim Beaver Esports. We threw the Pro 2 trucks around this track and had a bit of fun. We saw what those cars can do. They're a bit more resilient to the damage. These Indy Pro 2000 cars, you can't really afford to take that damage, and I think you'll see the likes of Sainz and Toth out front hoping for a clean race start so they can, have a little bit of a battle out front there, Jonathan.
And we have almost a full grid of 22 cars, which last time we saw like an almost full grid was at Interlagos. That was 5 or 6 weeks ago last season, and we did have a pileup on lap 1 heading into the first turn of Interlagos. So that doesn't bode well for our drivers, but hopefully got enough practice time and maybe enough time around here. But also, this is the first probably race some of these guys are doing here at Long Beach. It's going to be different than just doing a test session or a practice session.
Well, the one thing that's great about the iRacing service, Jonathan, is that every day is race day, and that's so true here at the Indy Pro 2000s as well. There's been a lot of races taking place, throughout the past few days. Obviously, Monday night, the first day in the US that drivers could get racing, and I think a lot of these drivers have already started to put in the laps, and you got the likes of Seitz, who sits 22nd in the championship right now. He'll be hoping that this strength of field broadcasted race can push him forward up through the championship and set sail on what I'm sure for him is going to be another one of his championship fights.
Yeah, he was very impressive in the races we did broadcast last season, did not get the championship last season. Tom Jensen was the one who was officially acclaimed winner of Season 4 2020, and he's currently not in this top split right now, so this is a good opportunity for Greg Seitz to, get a nice win and get a podium without one of his toughest competitors.
And this car is slowly becoming a staple in the iRacing service, Jonathan. It's obviously inherited a large community from the Pro Mazda before it, which, had been a stalwart in the service, having been part of the iRacing service since its inception in 2008. But now we've got this new car, and I think a lot of new faces have come to the surface. We have a lot of the old names as well, the likes of Fabio Berchtold, Amadima, and John Michael Nguyen, for example, but new names as well. And it's good to see more drivers taking to this car and seeing what it affords. We looked at the schedule a few moments ago. The ovals are very interesting here, and something slightly different from the European F3 model that series follows.
Yeah, it's something different, and I think the community as well helps really build the schedule, but they also help build setups. It is an open setup race, and they're there for each other, which is something I do really love about the Indy Pro 2000 community, is that it really acts like a whole series and a whole community, and drivers are just finishing up qualifying now. Only David Toth is still on track, but he's already completed 2 laps, so probably just getting a few practice laps. So we advance through the session onto the gridding phase. The starting lineup will be here in a moment as drivers prepare for the grid. Greg Seitz with a 14.2 taking pole position. David Toth from Central Europe in that second slot. Frank Nguyen, we saw him a lot last season, rolls P3. Nick Ludecky in P4. Thomas Zeiger in P5. Adam L. Watson in P6. Fabio Berchtold in P7. And Andrew L. Berry in P8. Servi Seppa in P9. He's looking to move up through the field. David Minot in P10. And Medima a little bit further down than he usually is in 11th. Yudigi Abolesikia. Yeah, that's going to be a difficult one for me. I apologize in advance. In P12. Mitchell Green in P13, Martin Bruman in 14, Mark Denson in 15th, John Michael Nguyen in P16. Pierre Boudon in P17, Cristobal Vazuena in number 18, Andrew Jackson in P19, Rodrigo Muniz in P20. And rounding out the field, 22, almost a full field, Neil Coxworth in 21st, and Abraham Wolf did not put a qualifying time in, starts P22. Just about 40 seconds remaining on the gridding sequence right now. There you can see them on the back straightaway. Not a full pace lap around here at Long Beach, but still, you have to go through that tricky turn 11.
Yeah, and I think the short pace lap, Jonathan, is going to mean the tires are going to be very, very cold. I was talking to King of Chins himself, Joshua Chin, who makes setups for the Craig setup shop for this very car, and he was saying that maybe lap 5 is when tires are going to be up to temperature and pressure. So watch out on these opening few laps, and as the pace car rolls, let's see what these first few laps hold for us.
And another thing here is where at the real circuit of Long Beach, there are full course cautions for pileups and such. Well, it's just localized cautions here in the iRacing series, so if there is a pileup on lap 1, it's going to be tricky for these drivers to maneuver around, as here comes the pace car going through 9 and 10 and into turn 11 now. Seitz and Toth will lead the field down as Seitz is already away. Green flag flies in the air, and he's got a good gap. Looking to the outside, that's number 7. Looking to the outside for P3, but he's lost it at the moment. Seitz holds the lead. You're going to go 2 wide down in the corner. Zeiger on the inside of Watson into turn number 1. This is going to be close right here. Unable to hold the position, though. Zeiger has to give up, and they head through the famous fountain section now. Single file, all smooth sailing right now for the top runners.
Yeah, everyone's had to get single file. That was a very early jump for Greg Seitz out front, but he leads now by 0.3 of a second, and the rest of your car is single filed out, Jonathan.
Yeah, but now here comes the prime passing opportunity. After these turn 7 and turn 8 complex, we have, East Seaside Way is a long straightaway and a huge drafting area down to turn 9. If they're all single filed out, it might be a good opportunity right now. RaceSpotTV replay. Looks like we had a little bit of commotion at the rear of the field. A little bit loose goes the number 20. All fine there, but then just a little bit too fast. Oh, and a little spin from the number 13 of Nguyen. And yeah, this is just what I kind of feared. Someone gets loose. There's nowhere for these guys to go.
That was Cristobal Valenzuela in the number 18 car that's getting turned around and getting caught up in some 5 p.m. traffic jam. But there you can see the field as we go across the line for the first time. Seitz leads from Toth, and Toth sets to work then on trying to get to the front of the field.
Toth was faster in that third sector, and most importantly in turn 11, but I think he's got company on his inside, and Ludecky, there he is. They're going side by side through turn 1. Toth has to yield to Nick Ludecky. We haven't really mentioned Ludecky. I have not actually seen Nick Ludecky in any of the split races we've covered last season. Nice to see fresh faces in here going to challenge a really good top competitor in Greg Seitz. One driver has come to the pit box. That was Neil Coxworth, and it looks like we're going to get a replay on maybe why that is. Actually, no, this is number 19 of Abraham Wolf down the front straightaway. Has he got turn 1 all wrong? Wait and see. There's 2 cars fighting up ahead. It's all by himself. Oh, and there's a slow car. Oh, that's a bit unfortunate. And what a job from Abraham Wolf to get through that melee. It looks like the 13 and the 19 of Nguyen and Wolf were the ones to get together. Or, excuse me, Nguyen and Munez. And yeah, there's a slow yellow car just pulls up right in front of traffic, Arjuna.
Yeah, more troubles heading into that fountain section. It's very tricky to get right, and unfortunately a few cars getting it wrong. That entry into turn 1 also very fast, but back to live pictures we go then. We actually get another look at some more issues, and that's the 4 car and Medema, one of the staples in this community, heading the wrong direction.
It gets loose, and I didn't quite see who was the one that got in behind him. I think that was the 11 of Odebeskia. So it looks like Ludecky was able to get a fast lap there, but he's only just a handful of hundredths faster than Greg Seitz right now. He's going to keep him in fighting range. Toth has not really lost much ground. Neither has Frank Nguyen or Watson, the top 5, still within about 2 seconds of each other.
Yeah, it's an interesting battle out front. You've got 5 cars separated by just over 2.5 seconds, Jonathan, and anything can happen. You mentioned it right off the bat. You can make one mistake here at the Long Beach circuit and end up in the wall and your hopes dash. So anything can happen, and someone like Adam Watson might be sitting in the 5th position, but there you can see the lap time delta as well. Still a lot of opportunity here to get up onto the podium.
And again, there are good drafting opportunities, as Watson did just show right there. He pulled up really, really close to Frank Nguyen going into turn 9, but not close enough to make a run. If he gets a good run out of turn 11, he may make a run. But there's a huge gaggle of cars in the midfield right behind him. Zeiger on back. They're all bumper to bumper, nose to tail down the front straightaway.
Yeah, it's Zeiger at the front, and all the way back to 11th place, David Menno in the 15th car. So lots of opportunities and lots of battles happening on track, but for the most part, single file. The 10 looks to the inside, but nothing much happening further back in the moment, Jonathan.
I think it's kind of everyone's trying to feel each other out, really feel the field. And again, Long Beach, because it's a street circuit, it is, narrow. It's very hard to overtake. We're not seeing a lot of the 3 wide moves that we were seeing at some of the other road courses we've been in. Is it Interlagos rings a bell to me, where there were 3 wide going down into the 2nd sector. But here, you do have some long straights for good drafting opportunities, but right now, no one's getting a good enough run out of these corners.
No, not yet. And the interesting thing here in the Indy Pro 2000s, Jonathan, is lap times in the 1:14. That's only about 5 or 6 seconds slower than the big Indy cars. So these cars are still very, very rapid around this street circuit, and not much opportunity for mistakes to be made. And maybe that's why we're seeing single file for the most part right now.
And you did also tell me, but we were talking before the race started that, the building setups thing and, tires warming up. You said only around lap 5 are setups really going to come in, as Greg Seitz now decides to put a run on Ludecky, going 0.2 faster, and this midfield is now starting to get a little bit racy and getting a little closer to one another.
Yeah, Seitz is trying to just use those tires to their maximum potential right now. There you can see the gap, 1.1 seconds, and slowly extending it over the last few laps. But all it takes is one mistake here, Jonathan, and you can end up right back in the clutches of the car behind. So Seitz can't, turn off just yet. He's got to continue working hard and preserve that race lead.
Servi Sepper, who started in 11th, has moved up to P7, but he has a whole gaggle of cars behind. Another RaceSpotTV replay here as he gets passed for that 7th position from Birchhold, and he's a man on a move that's making moves early and maybe on the move for a top 5 finish here.
Who said you can't pass at Long Beach? Well, you can pass if you want to, and right now Sepper doing a good job. He's got about 1.5 seconds to make up in front of him. We'll see what happens there, and great little scrap here on the edge of the top 10.
Barry getting a bit loose. It's going to make Menworth and Green antsy to get that position. Then there goes Mitchell Green to the inside of David Menworth. And they're still side by side. That 14 car is going to be able to hold the 9th position, but their scrapping is only making Birchhold and Sepper pull further and further away, and this mid-pack is separating. A little bit of technical issues as well going through turn 11. That's not exactly what you want to see. But now Andrew Barry looks like he's the one slipping.
Out front, by the way, Ludecky responds. Fastest lap last time around, 1:14.170. So he claws back just under half a tenth of a second. They are side by side, by the way, for 9th. But here we see this battle between 1st and 2nd. Ludecky is keeping close, and you can see they're catching a little bit of traffic.
Yeah, these are some of the guys that had a problem. Osterweiskaka was the one that got into, I believe, the 13 of Nuon earlier, and not too far ahead of him is Neil Coxworth, who pitted after lap 1. I believe he got in the outside wall. So lap traffic going to be key, and they're not that much slower than our leaders. They're only about a second slower, so it's not going to be like Sainz is just going to blow by them.
Now, Seitz has got a little bit of a challenge on his hands here. We come through the final couple of corners. What's he going to do? Is he going to be able to get the move done into turn 1, or is he going to get stuck behind some of these lap cars through the Fountain Complex?
And he loses a bit of aero wash there coming off of turn 11, which is something you really don't want to lose, but Ludecky again goes faster, 2/10 that time, and he's not catching that number 11 machine going into turn 1. It's going to be another sector behind these two slower cars, which will play into Ludecky's hands. However, these two are definitely faster than David Toth, who's fallen off the back of them a little bit. He's about 4 seconds now behind Seitz.
But watch this, Jonathan. Seitz is getting stuck, and that gap's going to be closing. Through turn 5 he goes. Can he get the move done then in towards turn 6?
He's going to get a draft from the number 11 machine right ahead of him, but it's not going to be enough to get him in 6 and 7. He's going to have to get a good run out of 8 and get a huge draft out of 9. And this is only making Nick Ludecky hungrier and hungrier. We're going to go down right now. Ludecky is on the gearbox. The 11, I think, tries to pull over to let the 1 car by, but the 1 is going to use him as a draft and maybe even a pick. There goes Seitz to the outside. Ludecky follows, and they're around the lap traffic, but Seitz has lost a whole heap of time, and Ludecky is now right on his gearbox.
And don't forget, one more piece of lap traffic to come. Around the last corner we go. I don't think the move is going to happen here in clean air. I think it's going to be that traffic that will be the key factor here, Jonathan.
Yeah, Neil Coxworth did set a personal best that last lap, but he's about a second off the pace compared to these two in front of him, and they're going to catch him again going through the 2nd sector. But Ludecky has a huge draft from the 1. He's thinking about it. He may try and be one of the last of the late breakers, but not on that occasion. A little bit of a slip from Seitz as that 8 car, he's just right there. It looks like he's stronger in some of these more technical corners.
Yeah, and riding on board with the 8 car right now, confident of plenty. Ludecky is using the entire width of the track and hunting down Seitz in front. Doesn't seem to have enough pace to get the move done, I think, until we get to that traffic, but he's going to apply pressure and potentially wait for Seitz to make a mistake.
It's a rare feat, however, Seitz making a mistake. If you've watched any of our broadcasts from last season, you would know Greg Seitz is a very, very good driver and one that does not often make mistakes, even with lap track behind him. Doing a little bit of breaking the toe right there. Seitz going inside and outside. Ludecky is not leaving him behind. They're getting closer and closer to Coxworth as they head into turn 11. And the 20, very, very slow.
But this is going to help Seitz. He's going to get that draft down into turn 1. They'll clear that lap traffic with not too much difficulty here. And Seitz is going to pull to the outside and get that done. Ludecky will try and follow into 1.
This actually might hurt Ludecky if Coxworth does not get out of the way. He breaks early for turn 1. Ludecky dives down in, and that is a move Ludecky had to get done. But now Valenzuela is about 30 seconds up the road. No, 20 seconds up the road, pardon me. So it's a long ways away for next lap traffic to come. So Ludecky's going to have to do this on pure pace, I believe.
And Sight may have clipped the wall, I think, on a number of occasions so far. He's really using all of the track as well, and you know, the new damage model in effect here on these cars, Jonathan, they can't afford to make those mistakes and lose one of their 4 wheels, so let's watch out and see what happens.
Yeah, they're all getting close to the wall. You know, it's not like we've seen like the Skip Barbers at, what was it, Phillip Island, using all the racetrack and then some. Here, you can't really use and then some, because and then some is the outside retaining walls, so you have to be really, really careful. And I think the fastest way around, you have to take risk to be close to that wall. As here we go back into turn 11. Ludecky is right there. It's a good exit out. He's going to have a huge draft going down to the first corner.
Yeah, but Sight's got a slightly better run off the corner, able to attack the throttle that much more, and let's see what Ludecky is able to do in the drop as we cross the start-finish line then to complete lap 9 out of 24.
Ludecky looking to the inside. He's going to be the last of the late breakers. He dives down on Greg Sight. Sight's a little loose, and Nick Ludecky to the lead. A beautiful move late on the brakes, and newcomer to the series, Nick Ludecky, is now going to try and put a gap on Greg Sight.
And that gap's already half a second right now, so Ludecky out front, clean air for the first time in this race, tries to run away. We turn our attention further back in your pack then as Fabio Berthold and the crew come through the fountain section, and this is a nice little battle happening then, Jonathan.
Yeah, David Menho has found a way back around Mitchell Green. We saw a pass a bit earlier in the race, and now Mitchell Green is trying to find a way around. He's been slower than the Illinois driver for quite some time these last few laps, and this midfield is still very racy. Berthold and Barry not far behind, but they have a 4-second gap to Servi Seppa, so Seppa seems pretty safe in P7 at the moment.
Yeah, Seppa's done a good job and closing it in front as well on Thomas Ziegler, so let's see what Seppa's able to do from his own little disappointment in qualifications then.
Yeah, there are some battles right now. David Toth, remember, fell back from Greg Sight, is almost 7 seconds off the lead, but he has Adam Watson for company, as now Mitchell Green hoping to get a good exit, a little bit loose in front of him, I believe. That is slower traffic of the 22, Rodrigo Munoz, who's about 8 laps down, excuse me, as he pulls to the sides and let these two fight. But that was a close call right there. If he slapped the wall right out of the hairpin, it would have been done for maybe all 4 of those drivers.
And there's been an issue. Is that David Toth that I see on my timing screen that's had a small bobble? So we'll have to
Watson
go back
has moved up into P3.
Yeah, I think David Toth has just dropped down the order. We'll try and take a look at the RaceSpot replay, Jonathan, but we talked about this track taking no prisoners, and let's take a look at that replay.
Yeah, so I mentioned they were getting close together, were Watson and Toth a bit briefly. They go down into turn 1. Toth still holds the position, but just all wrong on the brakes and has to take a little adventure down on that first straightaway.
Yeah, just unfortunate there. Toth's going to gather that one up, back up to racing speed, and we jump back to the live pictures then as he tries to recover in 7th position.
And now he has Menoth right behind him. Those two have been fighting hard. It looks like Andrew Barry has also had a bit of an issue. He's dropped away from Fabio Berthold, so even as this field spreads out and the race progresses, we're still having a bit of issues, especially in that important fountain section, as now Toth, who may have overcooked the tires as well, is going to be struggling for grip. He's going to have 2 drivers that are hungry to get past him as they head down the front straightaway. I don't think the 15 of Menoth is going to be close enough, and here is the 12 Andrew Barry. I mentioned he has fallen off the pace. He looks a bit slow out of turn 11. I'm wondering if he clipped the wall and maybe has a little bit of damage on that car.
Yeah, Toth, by the way, around the outside, Menoth has managed to make that move happen through turn number 1. So Toth has some damage, I've noticed, on his car. That steering wheel not 100% straight, and he's going to be struggling then through the second half of this race. Already 1 place down as Menoth makes the move happen. What can Green do from behind?
This is probably frustrating Mitchell Green, who's been fighting with David Menoth the entire way of the race and now has a damaged car of the number 2 in front of him. However, Toth is trying to hold on as best he can. I'm wondering if he clipped the wall on his turnaround trying to get back around. There is runoff area here in that turn 1 complex, but it's not really that wide, even for these smaller Pro Mazdas as compared to an Indy car. But we head down this back straightaway, east side way, into turn 9. Nothing doing right now, but that steering damage is going to come in play, I think, again at turn 1, and we're going to be looking for Mitchell Green to make a move.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's maybe also affecting his speed down the straight. You see him getting a bit slidey through the last corner. That will compromise his run, and indeed Menoth just pulls away very slightly, and Green not having the best run there either. That won't allow him to maybe make that challenge in towards turn 1, but Toth is able to hold on right now, so let's see how bad that damage is going to be over the next 12 laps or so. Also out front, by the way, Greg Seitz fastest last time around, 1:14.162, so let's see if he's able to close that gap back out to Nick Ludecky and try and make it a little bit of a challenge for the race lead.
It closed down to 0.8 of a second. It did last lap, but a slow first sector for Greg Seitz in comparison to his fast lap. He was about 0.2 off Ludecky. That gap has opened up back to a second as Mitchell Green has fallen off the back of David Toth. Toth is going to look to try and get back around David Meneth, but right now that damage may just be too great for him to mount another charge.
And I'm watching on board, I'm riding on board with David Toth right now. That steering is slowly becoming a bit more ragged, the way that he's forcing that car into the corner. You can already see the slight offset to the right as he enters the right-hand kink to the last couple of sections, but starting to slide the car that little bit more, Jonathan, and that's not what you need to heat up the tires and compromise that car that much more.
I wish we had like one of those like telestrators where you can draw a circle around, because you can see this left wheel is bent in slightly, and I'm wondering if he tagged the wall in that runoff area trying to turn himself around, and that is what's really compromising him right now.
Yeah, that's not helping him, and helping Green stick on the back as out front the number 15 starts to pull away. Let's talk about the battle for the race lead just once again, because last time around Nick Ludecky with a 1:14.094. He's very close to breaking into the 1:13s, and now that gap to second place, almost 1 second.
It's been hovering around a second, and they're playing a game of ping pong here, trading fastest laps, and again, without any lap traffic or any other really competition near them, it's just a dogfight between these two. Ludecky has been stronger in that first sector, but the third sector, I think Greg Seitz has been pretty equal. I'm going to see this time out a little bit of a slide out of this last corner. We'll see the lap times here. The gap is stable at about 1 second now, but we still have plenty of racing to go. And again, you know, sliding around and losing grip in your tires, that could be a problem late in the race.
Yeah, they really are trading those lap times back and forth right now, and we still have quite a few laps to go, 15 out of 24, so we'll have to wait and see, and it really could just take one mistake to settle this battle out front. There are some battles happening further back as well. Ziegler is being caught by Menno, so that's the battle for 6th and 7th,
and he's gotten around,
respectively.
David Menno has. Just noticed on my timing screen, David Menno promoted to P6 over. Oh, and he's gotten the first corner all wrong, sliding into the runoff area. Was he a bit too aggressive on the brakes? Here he goes out of the last corner. Tiger gets a bit wide, and David Menno is going to have a big draft going down into the first corner, but I'm wondering if he was just carrying too much speed and he got way too late on the brakes.
Using all of that draft, gets the move done very early on, and you'll see the 9 car maybe slowly making a mistake, getting a bit deep under braking.
Oh, contact!
The 15 goes around. Not much Menno could do in that situation, Jonathan, but unfortunately for him, back into 9th position.
Yeah, he still holds on to a top 10 position from Menno, and he doesn't appear to have much damage. I'm actually kind of worried about Ziegler if he has a lot of damage on that steering. Ziegler's also fallen off. There he is in the background there. That promotes Toth back to 6th and Mitchell Green to 7th. And we ride on board right now, right behind Mitchell Green. This is Thomas Ziegler. Let's see if there's any difference in the steering. The steering looks okay, but wheel-to-wheel contact is definitely something you don't want, especially with these new damage models.
Yeah, definitely not. Checking back out front, by the way, Seitz is closed, 0.6 of a second between first and second, and you can see Seitz all the way to the wall as he enters, or rather exits turn number 5, and right now I think putting all of his effort into trying to close that gap, Jonathan. Seitz wants to get that win, and after taking the pole position, clearly he's got that pace.
He's got the pace, I think, in the second and third sectors with these long straightaways, as it looks like lap traffic is going to be a factor once again. That's Valenzuela up ahead. He's a bit a ways away from Nuance. That's the only lap car we can see right now. But Seitz is faster in the second and third sectors with these long straightaways. It's this first sector, the technical bit, that he struggles, and Ludecky gets a bit loose right there. The gap is now under half a second. Greg Seitz is going to have a huge draft. It was a bad run for Ludecky into turn 11. I don't know if Greg Seitz is going to be able to close the gap right here. It was 0.3 faster last time by. Seitz is thinking about making a move into turn 1 and thinks better of it. And right now they're going to play the waiting game through sector 1, through the fountain section. And this lap traffic may come just in hand as Valenzuela has now been caught by the leaders.
Yeah, not where Ludecky would have hoped to catch the lap traffic. It might actually work out if he can get it on the exit of turn 5, and indeed, he's not going to compromise his run too much, and Sight doesn't get the opportunity to try and make the move happen.
If anything, that compromised Sight's just as much as the 22. Oh, no, it's not the 22. The 18 went kind of in that racing line and didn't give Sights the full track to use in the second sector, and that's also cost him a few tenths in that sector alone.
Did Ludecky just hit the wall? Did Ludecky just run out a little bit wide coming onto this back straight and hit the wall? I saw him getting very, very close, and Sight applies the pressure.
Yeah, now it's going to be all on. It looks like the steering, is it slightly loose? He's loose out of turn 11. I'm wondering if you were right, Arjuna. He does have a suspension issue. Sainz is right behind him now. We ride on board again. You can see a little bit of steering right there, but this is a curvy front stretch. It's hard to tell if there's much of a difference right now. We'd have to see on the back straightaway.
I've just gone back and looked. He got very close, but managed to keep it out of the wall. Just about a millimeter separated that car from scraping that wall. So fortunate for the 8 car, but Sight's now just 4/10 of a second behind. This battle out front really starting to heat on up.
Sainz, I think, is applying pressure and trying to force Ludecky into mistakes. You can see Ludecky getting loose out of these corners. Ludecky is trying to fling this car and be as fast as humanly possible. And these two have been fast as humanly possible. No one else has set lap times even equivalent to them. They're half a second faster than the rest of the field.
I just want to know if Ludecky... Ooh, he slides the rear end
He's
of that
getting close
car
to
out.
it. He's flirting with that wall.
That's
that one
what
in particular.
That's what I'm talking about, Jonathan. That one right there where he gets all the way out and really pushes the edge of track limits. He's gotten close before, and I wonder if he's going to make a mistake. But I also wonder if we're going to end up with a 1 minute 13 second lap time. They're getting close, and I think we might be in for that today.
Well, if they stay single file, they might. If they start fighting, as Greg Sights again puts the pressure, just 3/10 now. It's that turn 8. You can see that tire barrier also come out, which is also a bit scary, I think, for Ludecky, because if he clips that tire barrier, it also could be over for him. He goes to the inside to defend, down into turn 1. Here comes Greg Sights. Is it going to be the last of the late breakers? He's going to look to the outside. That's not a good line for Ludecky through here, but there's really nowhere for Greg Sights to go through the fountain section. No good overtaking here. He's going to have to do it in either turn 6 or turn 8 to really make the most of this first sector. He's been quick here, but Ludecky has generally been the stronger driver.
And 6 laps to go here, so just a few more opportunities to make it happen. And Sights has been patient, tried to wait for the mistake, but as of yet, Ludecky hasn't made it yet, and that number 1 car might start to look a little bit more desperate in a few laps' time.
There is a slow car ahead. I believe that's Martin Booman in the 16. They might catch him with a few laps to go. Ludecky, not an impressive second sector, but even with Greg Sights at the moment, as they head into the final sector, into turns 9 and 10, down to the hairpin at turn 11. This is where Ludecky also has been really loose coming up on the exit. You can watch the back end kick out as he gets the power down, but a good exit that time is going to be able to hold Sights at bay for now.
Across the start-finish line, once again, 5 laps to go. Ludecky's car starts to look like it's going off very slightly at this point, Jonathan, so I wonder if, despite the fact that we do have cold temperatures out there on track, if he's maybe burned the tires up very slightly, or maybe his car just not set up for this later portion of the race. But whatever the case may be, Sights is in a good position to try and make the move happen.
It is an abrasive track surface here at Long Beach. It is a street circuit, not like your traditional racing track, so it can chew up tires if you let it, even with cold temperatures. I'm wondering if that is exactly what has happened to Ludecky, but he hasn't really dropped off pace necessarily. These two are still the fastest on track by far as the number 20 pulls out of the way. And Greg Sights is looking for a huge run down into turn 9. He's getting closer and closer, 3/10 as it looks like Menno has had a bit of an issue. He's been passed by Birchfield in the fountain section. RaceSpotTV replay, and he's a bit slow out of here. Oh, we go rewind a bit, and yep, tagged from behind into the hairpin. Not the first time we've seen that here at Long Beach.
Yeah, Ziegler just getting a bit caught out there by Menno, but back to live pictures and back to a great battle out front. Sights is just 0.2 of a second behind now, Jonathan, and looking for the move down into turn 1.
He's looking for it. I think he's going to make it. He's going to look to the outside, and Ludecky's going to play defensive and defend the inside line. Who can hold more speed? They're going side by side. They're going to stay side by side through the fountain section. That's a bad area to be side by side. They're both loose. They both have to check up. A little bit of contact from Ludecky and Sainz. They're still side by side, and Sainz gets the move done. Ludecky is right there. And now Sainz retakes the lead, but he has not dropped Ludecky. Another draft opportunity heading into turn 6 and 7. Is Ludecky going to try again? No. Stays right behind at this portion in time. They're going to head down to East Seaside Way. Ludecky's going to get a huge draft. He needs a good exit out of 8. This is where he's been struggling. Doesn't appear. Oh, and he's in the wall. Ludecky has clipped the wall for sure and has lost now a bit more time to Sainz, and that may be fatal for his win opportunities.
Yeah, momentum just slightly compromised. Let's see if he's got damage, but what a move it was from Greg Seitz to throw it down the inside into the fountain section. Great confidence and great respect shown on both sides. Seitz out to the race lead, and Ludecky is going to lose out very slightly. Gap now, 0.6 of a second.
He overdrove it a little bit into turn 11. I'm wondering if Ludecky is looking at the laps left and looking at the clock and saying, time is running out. I need to pass Greg Seitz back. And again, it was a brilliant move. This is why we really love Long Beach. You have these long straightaways, but you also have these technical sections that you think moves shouldn't be done. They shouldn't be too wide through here, and yet these two drivers have been able to do it. And Sainz, a little bit slower in that first sector. Ludecky is back on his gearbox, but a good power-off situation through the Aquarium Way, and now we head to West Shoreline Drive. Ludecky is going to get a draft into turn 6 and 7, but he lost a few tenths on the exit. I'm wondering if that car is just not as good in the exit, and Greg Seitz is able to get the power down in a much better situation.
Whatever the case, damage clearly not as bad as we may have thought for Nick Ludecky. He doesn't risk getting that close to the wall this time around, but sticks into the draft. Just 2 laps to go when we next cross the line, and the 2 drivers that have been the class of the field so far look to try and do battle out front.
Ludecky a bit wide in that corner. That's going to compromise him a lot. He's almost now a second behind. He's overdriving that car for sure. And now he's going to be a bit far back. He's going to have to try and catch Greg Seitz where he's weak. He's been faster than Greg Seitz in the first sector critically. As we look back in the field, David Toth, driving without a front wing, so that's not a good situation, is now back in the hands of Mitchell Green and David Meneth. Meneth has been the one making the menacing moves. He's going to get a huge draft now from Mitchell Green. And he's going to look into turn 9. Not going to happen on this occasion. But now in these technical bits, this Q car is going to be super slow, especially here in the hairpin. There's no front downforce on that machine. And now this is bringing back Thomas Zeiger and Berchelt in the conversation. There's 5 cars that can still fight in these top 10 positions. And a spinner, there goes the 12 of Andrew Barry. He had to check up a little bit. Mark Denson got a little loose out of the hairpin. He lights him up and gets back going again.
We'll take a look at that replay on the live pictures, by the way. Around the outside, Toth is getting passed by 1 car. Can the second follow? No, not going to follow. So Toth with no front wing is going to struggle around the remaining couple of laps. A couple of cars then queuing up behind him, and there you can see that spin through the final corner.
Ludecky is, however, hunting Greg Seitz down again. He's been faster in the first sector, faster in the second sector. So here's a replay of the move. Toth, he can't really defend without a front wing. He's able to do as best a job as he can, honestly, without front downforce. But we head back to this fight. Toth is just kind of a cork in the bottle right now. Green is looking for a way around. Zeiger's back in the conversation. Berchelt's in the back in the conversation. As Ludecky has gone fast, as he's in the 113s, he's half a second behind. But here in the midfield, it's anyone's game. Without that front downforce, can Toth hold on to this position? He's got Green for company behind. Ludecky is closing and closing quickly. He's 3/10 behind in the battle for the lead. Zeiger heads around. This is the corner that's caught Ludecky out. Ludecky is smooth through here. 3/10. He was 3/10 faster this time by. 4/10 is the gap now. Ludecky needs a good draft, and Sainz needs not to make a mistake. We head now into turn 8. He's pulled out the gap a little bit. Sainz has been able to get the power down. It's now down the back straightaway. Sainz breaking the draft. He's half a second now clear of Nick Ludecky. This is the last opportunity where Nick Ludecky can make a move. Is he going to overdrive it into the corner, or is he going to stay stable? He stays smooth, getting a little bit on the curbs. It's a bit faster this time by, but a little bit too much into 10. Can he try and get him in 11? We're heading out of the hairpin. Ludecky is close on the gearbox, but it was not meant to be after a fantastic scrap between these two drivers. Greg Seitz will take home the win. Nick Ludecky comes home second in an amazing scrap at the top. and the midfield is crazy. Toth has been passed by Mitchell Green, finally through the corner, and here comes everyone else to try and get Mitchell Green and David Toth. We have Zeiger going to the outside of Green. Berchhold is looking here. We haven't mentioned Andrew Jackson or Mark Denson. They're looking to fight side by side behind. Zeiger is looking for a way around Toth. Toth has no front wing. This is an amazing drive from the two machine. We head into turn 11. Chaos can happen here, and chaos is happening. A little bit of a checkup from the number 14 machine, but he's going to be able to hold onto this position. Toth finishes right behind Zeiger in 9th. Berchhold comes home to round out the top 10, and that was an exciting last few laps.
Great couple of final laps there. Seitz able to hold on out front. Ludecky getting very close on a number of occasions to the wall, flirting with disaster as he chased down the race leader, but unable to get it done. Pole position converted into a race victory. He didn't have it easy though, Jonathan, and I think first race of the season, first broadcast of the season as well, that number 1 car is going to go off very, very happy.
You know, we've seen Greg Seitz pull out amazing qualifying performances to just drive away, but I think that's showing Greg Seitz' overtaking ability. That move down into the fountain section was just brilliant driving by both of them. As Seitz and Ludecky take the top spot. Adam L. Watson, quiet race in 3rd place, but a 3rd place nonetheless. He was 19 seconds behind. That shows the pace of the 1 and the 8. Servi Seppa, a brilliant drive to get to P4. Frank Newen in P5. David Menace was a man on a mission, able to get P6. Mitchell Green able to pass David Toth, but without a front wing, hangs on to P8. Thomas Zeiger and Fabio Berchhold able to round out your top 10. Andrew Jackson comes home P11th. Mark Denson in P12th. Andrew Barry holds on to P13 despite the late spin. Abraham Wolf in P14. And Medema had a bit of an issue and a collision early on in the race, finishes in 15th. Martin Booman down in 16th. Nuon in 17th after a collision as well. Oboyeska in the number 11 car with a collision down in 18. Neil Coxworth and Cristobal Valencia was also in collisions. Pierre Bourdon and Rodrigo Munoz had early collisions as well, 4 laps down and 7 laps down respectively, rounding out your field of 22. So that was great, that was exciting, and I'm really excited now. This is just one race at Long Beach. We have another one coming up, Arjuna, with the IR 01 series, the top splitter there, for a full Grand Prix race here.
Yeah, we're busy Fridays for the next 12 weeks here in official iRacing competitions. We're going to kick it off every Friday here with Indy Pro 2000, and we'll hand it over to our colleagues for Friday night primetime. This time, the brand new Dallara IR01 car heads to Suzuka Circuit as what is going to prove to be our brand new World Championship car debuts live on RaceSpotTV, and that's going to be a very interesting one to watch.
If it's anything like this one, and if you're going to stick around for it, viewers, you are in for a treat, because again, that duel between Seitz and Ludecky was amazing. Seitz wants to put together a championship run, but I think Nick Ludecky has proven that he's a man that's going to be here to stay and here to put a threat in some of these races.
Yeah, for sure, and I think, you know, next time out we I think are heading to the ovals. There we take a look at our Season 1 schedule, and indeed, Christmas Day, New Hampshire. That's going to be a very interesting way to celebrate your holidays, and indeed, everyone can watch on RaceSpotTV and join yourself and Thomas Davis for both of the holidays, Christmas and the New Year's, with 2 very interesting races, New Hampshire and Suzuka.
Yeah, we get a treat of, normally you get Christmas turkey, but in case of New Hampshire, it's a Christmas lobster that these drivers will be fighting for. And then we head over to Japan for the race at Suzuka. These should be 2 excellent races for the holidays. A real holiday present, I think, for all the viewers at home and for all the drivers. But then looking again at the schedule, you know, there is no track like Long Beach this close together. We do have Barber and Virginia, Sebring and Silverstone as the road races. Imola might be one that's kind of close to this, with not a lot of runoff area, not a lot of places to overtake.
Yeah, and you know, I'm thinking of some of these schedules, some of these racetracks. The one that's standing out to me, we've got 3 of these oval rounds, New Hampshire, Phoenix, but the most interesting one, USA Speedway. That's, I think, a road configuration. Not exactly sure how that's going to be a oval track, but February the 19th...
It says road because there's the dirt version.
Ah, okay, understood. So February the 19th, I'll be tuning in to watch that one, because USA Speedway, one of the shorter tracks we have on the iRacing service, and that one is going to be interesting if filled with cautions.
Well, it's also one of the most known tracks in the iRacing service. It's one of the first tracks you race on the oval, and many drivers it's their first win. My first win certificate says USA Speedway on it. I got it in rookie street stocks 7 years ago. So it's a track that everyone should be familiar with. And when we finally ended up with 2 big circuits of Spa-Francorchamps and Road Atlanta, which should be exciting. So lots of exciting racing to come from the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. It was a pleasure watching this race today. Greg Seitz, your victor, and Nick Ludecky put up an amazing fight. However, that wraps us up for this coverage here. Stay tuned for your Friday night primetime show in the IR 2000, or not the IR 01, not the IR 2000 series. My name is Jonathan Burke. Alongside me was Arjuna Kankapati, stepping in for Tom Davis, Tyler Maxon doing the camera work, and the cameras provided by iRacing.com. We say so long from Long Beach and have a great night.